Important notice: the following content may be triggering. Viewer discretion is advised. All discussions are based on personal opinions and experiences. If you or someone you know needs help, please reach out to a local support organization. Important notice.
Well, welcome back, everyone, to Through the Eyes of Survivors. I'm your host, Tara Woodlee, and today's episode holds a very deep place in my heart as we lean into something we don't always talk enough about. And that is what it means to grieve someone we've lost to domestic violence. For families like mine and like our guest Lashenna's and so many others, this pain doesn't fade. It lives with us, and we learn to carry it. We honor it, and sometimes, like today, we find ways to turn that grief into something meaningful and lasting. So, when my daughter was taken from me, I couldn't imagine what healing would look like. I only knew I wanted her remembered for her spirit and not just the tragedy that ended her life. And that's why BTSADV has a partnership with Keeper Memorials, and it means so much. And Mandy Benoualid, one of our guests today, created a platform that gives families a space to keep those stories, the laughter, the light of their loved ones alive. And I'm proud to say that BTS ADV now offers this as a service. We've been offering it, but we still offer this as a service to angel families out there, to create a Keeper Memorial free. And then our guest, Lashenna Soriano. I'm proud to say that she has been a volunteer here at BTSADV for quite some time now. She lost her sister to domestic violence, and like so many of us, found the strength she didn't know she had. So her journey has now brought us to this episode of Through the Eyes of Survivors, and I know you'll be moved by what she has to share. And this episode is like for every family member out there who's trying to keep a memory alive while putting back together the pieces of their heart. But before we begin, I want to take a quick moment to acknowledge our amazing partners real quick. Opus Clip. We're proud to partner with Opus Clip. It is an AI-powered platform that transforms key podcast moments into short, impactful clips, making it much easier to amplify our voices. So try that yourself. Use our link and it helps support the podcast. Also, we have a new partner that we're proud to share with you. Self-Defense Keychain Store. It is an official affiliate for Through the Eyes of Survivors now. This is a woman-owned business that is committed to empowering individuals with practical, discreet, and stylish self-defense tools. So by shopping through our affiliate link, you're not only investing in your personal safety, you're supporting our mission and amplifying awareness. You get 10% off with the code Break the Silence. So please check them out as well. So, back to the podcast part. Today we're joined again by Mandy Benoualid, co-founder of Keeper Memorials. She's been helping families honor their loved ones in the digital space since 2013, and she's the force behind deathtalk.com. Mandy is definitely a visionary, how we think about legacy and remembrance. Also, we're joined by Lashenna Soriano, a volunteer here at BTSADV. She's definitely one of our bright lights in our survivor sisterhood. And after losing her own sister to domestic violence, she found strength and healing by helping others. And her creative spirit definitely shows here in our community. So, let's get to talking about this. So losing a loved one to domestic violence, it's definitely, like we said before, a different kind of grief, right? It's not just sorrow, it's trauma. Um, It's knowing that someone you loved was taken from you, and they chose to hurt and control and destroy what you valued most. And when the shock totally wears off and the world gets quiet, we question, how do we remember them, right? That's why we have this platform, Keep a Memorial, where they come in, and our partnership with Mandy and what it means to our angel families through BTSADV as we share photos and stories and milestones and memories. It becomes more than a page, it becomes a digital sanctuary, right? So today we're going to hear about why Mandy built that, and what it's done for families like Lashena's and mine, and how the tributes become an act of healing. So I think what I'd like to start with is I'd like to start with Lashena. Can you tell us some about your sister and what she meant to you?
Okay, so um, our tragic event happened in September 2019. Uh, my sister, she was murdered by her estranged husband. They were actually in a process of getting a divorce. Um, she had moved out about 2 weeks prior to, and he showed up at her place of employment um, and shot and killed her in the parking lot right before her shift started. Um,
I'm so sorry you had to endure that. I know how horrible that feels.
it hurt mostly because I wasn't there.
Mhm.
Um, I live 2.5 hours away from her now, but I think that's what kind of hurts. And I wouldn't say the most, but a lot. And even getting there after hearing what happened, it felt like forever.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's a horrible cost. But I think it's important sometimes to share, like, what was she like? Like, I mean, her personally, what was she like to you? What was the importance of that relationship? If you could, how would you describe your sister?
My best friend,
Yeah.
my I have acquaintances. I have people who, even since this has happened, who I've gotten a little bit close to and
Hmm.
scared. It changed the way I feel about people in terms of not wanting anyone to get close with the fear of being having them taken away.
Hmm.
Um, so we're 4 years apart. I'm older by 4 years.
Hmm.
Um, and she was always my baby sister.
Yeah.
Um, so growing up, we had always been pretty close, but then there was a period of time where we weren't as close as we used to because with our age difference. So
Mhm.
she was younger, and then we had different group of friends because of that age difference. But then as we got older and we started having kids of our own, we had gotten closer than ever.
Right.
And and we had noticed that she didn't have a best friend, I didn't have best friends, so we decided to be best friends and
I
raise
think
our kids
sister's
together.
always the best to have a best friend with. Yes.
Oh, and I tell my nieces that her kids. Um, so we became best friends. She became my right hand woman. Um, Bless my husband's heart, but um, I envisioned growing old with her, you
Yeah.
know, with my husband in the background.
Yeah.
But she was the one who I would envision sitting in the rocking chair next to and just laughing and enjoying grandkids and telling each other to shut up, me and her, because, that's just how
Yeah.
we were. And yeah,
Yeah.
I, yeah.
Yeah, I get that because a lot of times, I mean, us women, we already know that a lot of times our husbands usually are gonna be the one to pass first. So, I can
I
see
didn't want
him
to say it, but
envisioning yeah, I can see envisioning that
yeah.
those latter times you have your sister,
Hmm.
right? And that part of your family, so yeah, I can see that, and um, it's a beautiful vision you think of. I mean, with mine, I envisioned the grandchild that was coming, right? And what the future held for her as a mother, because
Hmm.
her whole life was going to change being a mother.
Hmm.
And I believe she would have been the best mother ever. And I didn't get to see that
You'll
or
be the best.
experience that. It's heartbreaking when so much of your future uh, has to change
Hmm.
from what you dreamed of. And you see everybody else is getting to experience those kinds of
Oh,
futures, and you don't have that anymore. Not with
yeah.
that particular person.
Right.
I have another daughter. She's had children. I have grandchildren. They're beautiful and they are a joy and a blessing, but it won't be the same experience because it's a different person. Ashley
Right.
was a different person from her sister. And
And I have a
so,
sister.
yeah,
Yeah, she's
yeah,
older than me, but she was more of like a mother figure, and my
right,
sister was a friend.
right.
So, yeah.
Yeah. It complicates relationships in ways that people just do not understand.
Hmm.
Because even in our family dynamic, it was me and the two girls against the world.
Oh.
So I like to think of us all the time when I talk to people. It's like a tricycle, and you've lost one of the wheels. How do you
Hmm.
ride the tricycle anymore? You have to develop a whole new relationship,
Hmm.
and it's hard because you're used to being that group that depended on each other. She
Right.
depended on her to be able to talk to me in ways that she
Hmm.
couldn't. I depended on them to talk to each other when they weren't understanding me,
Right.
and that cycle is new now. It broke and it's
Hmm.
new, and it's taken quite a long time to make it to where it works, but it's still broken. It's
Hmm.
still forever broken. So,
Right.
and that's part of why I personally wanted to we reached out to Mandy and the Keeper when I saw that. I knew this was a partnership I wanted for families like ours. So, Mandy, tell us about how you started the Keeper and what got you into that process.
Yeah, sure. Um, I lost someone close to me. Didn't I can't even imagine losing my sister or my daughter because I do now have a daughter and I have a sister I'm very close with. And sorry, just with you talking, it's hard to pivot into that conversation. But I'm so sorry for your losses. I can't even imagine know what that feels like. I lost someone close to me. He was my mentor. Basically, I was a young teenager in going through a program that kind of teaches you how to, be better overall. And I'm just trying to think about how public this is and what I can share and what I can't share. But
Right.
it was a program that helped me kind of get on my feet after I needed help doing that. I'll say that. Um, and he passed away, and then I was putting together a memorial service for him, and it was part of a nonprofit. And what I noticed is that all of the photos and memories I had of him was on Facebook because that was back when like all we were really using was Facebook.
Right.
And I realized that all the photos, a lot of the conversations we ever had, it was all on Facebook. And then his parents chose to take down that his Facebook page when he passed away, which is
Oh.
absolutely that they're their prerogative, right? Of course, they're able to do so. It's their son. Um, but I realized that I had lost all those memories. So it was like a whole second loss that I went through where I was like, not only did I lose this person so close to me, but like we didn't, it wasn't smartphone era. Like I didn't have photos on my phone. And I had like maybe some, digital cameras that I had memories on. And at the same time, I had lost a grandparent, and I just realized like there was something that wasn't adding up. Like Facebook wasn't the place to remember someone that had passed away. I had a friend that had passed away, and then we were, sharing messages on his Facebook page, and then that didn't feel right to have it was kind of a space for the living. And then we just didn't have a space to kind of keep everything together where we can just get together and remember someone, and create a safe space. So I kind of, had that idea, and I just started working on it with, one developer back in 2013. And the goal was to create a safe space to be able to remember and celebrate someone's life. And then on top of that, a big part of our goal was and still is today is to allow you to learn about the stories of peoples in cemeteries as well. So you walk through a cemetery and every single person, every life uh, represented there, there's the name and then there's the date of birth and the date of passing. There's that whole dash in between and there's a whole life story in that dash. And realize that, being in a cemetery space or, Luciana, you talking about your sister, or Tara, you talking about your daughter, um, it's hard to really, get a sense of who that person was. And I think that everyone's story should be told. Everyone's story deserves to be told and deserves to be shared, and everyone deserves to be remembered, even if it's just with their close family, so that they can pass it on. And so we just wanted a space and create a platform that was kind of easy to do that. And we tried to make it sort of as customizable as possible so that it feels like you're able to really reflect your loved one. Um, and of course, making it like an easy way for friends and family to collaborate alongside you as well.
Yes, yes. Because I know I struggled so hard, and Sheena, I believe you had the same experience of like, who is going to remember her after I was gone? I do all this work and I do all these things, and the rest of the family can be involved, but they're not as involved as I am. And so when this passion ends for me and I can't do it any longer, where will her memory stand? Because yeah, great, there's an organization, but the organization will change over the years. Yeah, great, I can create a website, but who's going to run the website after I'm gone? And um things like that plagued me. It literally ate me from the inside out, um, of where was the justice, which we don't feel like there was much at all in the system. And yet there's no justice in the way that she's going to be remembered and should be remembered as a legacy.
Mhm.
And so I struggled with that really hard, really hard. It was, like I said, something that just ate away with me. Lashina, do you want to talk about that some with your family, how that felt? Or did we lose her for a minute?
I can hear you now,
Okay.
but I didn't. Yes.
Yeah. I was asking, can you talk about what it meant for your family to try to be sure that her memory was a legacy? How did it feel when you, for you, before the keeper came along, like what would happen? I was saying with my family, I felt like it would just, her memory would die with me, you know?
Right. That's exactly how it is. I guess it was more so we did want the tragedy to come out. Um, we wanted others to know what had happened to her. I always feel like it's important for the tragedy to be known as well because it happens so much.
Mhm.
Um, there are too many people whose lives are cut short due to domestic violence. Um, So it's still important for the tragedy to come out, but we're also left with who will remember her. Um, it's been almost 6 years. And of course, we've had people say, oh, if you need anything, let us know. Um, But you see that fade. Um, The people who were originally there in the beginning, they're not really there anymore.
Right.
Um, yeah, so, and it makes you feel like, well, if the people aren't there anymore, then they've forgotten about her,
Right.
and we can't, you
Hmm.
know? So it's like, how do we keep her memory alive? How do we make sure that she's not forgotten? Um, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That is a huge struggle for all of us. The families who go through that, whether I think that's anybody who's lost a loved one, but particularly I think it's hard because these lives are cut so short,
Mhm,
so tragically, so horrifically. It's part of trying to process it for
mhm,
us. What we can do to shed a light on that. Um, so um, Mandy, when we started our partnership, I wanted to know kind of what your thoughts were when we first started talking, because this is definitely a segue into more of a it's definitely a section of keeper that is a different breed of I'm not sure what the word I'm looking for of society, because everybody wants a memorial, I'm sure, for their own, but in working with our organization, like, have you noticed for you personally what a difference there is between um, those of us who are in this situation?
Yeah, absolutely. So honestly, I still to this day, and when we started working with you all, seeing how young all of these angels are, like breaks my heart honestly every time. And it personally for me, I did not realize the extent to how violent some of these deaths are, and how young these angels are. And personally for me, and I think for our team, we introduce all of our everyone that we work with to the team, and it's to me like there's so much more advocacy and just like knowledge for people to realize what actually happens. I feel like it's so like, oh yes, her husband was abusive, like yeah, you kind of just like hear that, but I don't think people realize the extent to how tragic and just as I said, violent this can be. And so for me, and for us, what we try to do is, we want to create that space. But what I hope we could do, just reading, Ashley's page and what you wrote on her page, Tara, um, what I hope the pages can do, because that's all I can speak to, I don't, it's not my personal experience, but
Right.
what I can hope that Keeper can help families with, especially, Halo families, would be that it, in a sense, like validate their life and their story. So that like, yes, we have to talk about the violence that occurred. We have to talk about um, how they were murdered and ensure that we are really speaking out of that. But I also hope that it's a space where we can remember them for who they were and not just how they died and not just the tragedy, kind of like you said, Lashina. Like, so it's never going to be separated from it, but but they are more than what happened to them, right?
Right.
Like they had these beautiful lives and these beautiful people around in their lives, And I think that that to me is an important balance. And like, when I look at Ashley's page, I feel like I see that. I see her story. I feel like I get to know her in that sense. But then when I go to her memento section, I was looking at it just before, like I can see, that she loved like dance and or like yeah, singing is what I saw, and
Right.
I just like I feel like I got a better sense of who she was as a person and not just as someone who died. And so I think to me that that's really important. And like it's also part of what we try to do, as a technology company. Technology changes so quickly, and so we want to ensure that there is a sense of permanence, and it could be so chaotic when you lose someone in a tragic loss like this. And we want to be able for it to be a safe space, but also like a sense of permanence where you're like, okay, this is where her memory is. It is being, it's free, it's accessible, but this is being managed by people who actually care.
Right.
And we're looking out for this, and we're making sure that it's not just going to drop off of the internet. And so that's what I think is important. But at the end of the day, like what we're trying to do is, when we take a moment to remember someone and we're memorializing someone, what are we doing? Even before the age of the internet, we're talking about that person, we're sharing stories like we are doing today, we're sharing photographs, we're sharing videos. And I try not to look at this as like a tech company in the sense that it's just this is how we communicate today, right? We communicate over the internet. We store our photos on the internet. We don't have a physical camera anymore with printed photos. And so to me, it's more of just like creating that human connection.
Mhm.
And that's that sort of support and comfort that we can provide through, an app like this. But I don't like to call it like an app. Do you know what I mean? So
Right.
I feel like overall, like I've learned so much. And the importance of and the importance of your organization. And I just hope that we can keep sort of building things that are supportive to folks that have had a tragic loss. Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, we're kind of in the middle of the segment here, so we're going to take a small break real quick. Please stay tuned and come back to the conversation, but I want to just touch base with everybody about our annual Run for Her event. So, um, the, bef- before you yeah, don't leave us, but we want to invite you to be a part of our Run for Her challenge. This July, we run in memory of those that are lost. It's more than just a run, actually. It's a movement. Every mile you walk or run in this challenge is a tribute. It's a tribute to women, children who have lost their life, that their lives have been stolen to domestic violence. It says, "We remember you. We carry forward your name. We fight in your honor." And so here's how you can be a part. I'm going to encourage you to go over to our website, Break the Silence Against Domestic Violence, and visit our Keeper memorials and look through those tributes of the incredible souls, our angels that have been lost. Let their stories move you. Let one of their names stay with you. Register on our website, run the number 4 herchallenge.com, and create a team. You can name that team after an angel if you want to run in their honor. If you're a family member of an angel who was lost, that's a beautiful way to rally friends and loved ones around your child or your sibling, your parent, to help raise awareness and continue their legacy. And then even contact us and create your own memorial keeper. So your participation helps fund our BTSADV scholarship program, as parts of the proceeds go directly to help survivors and their children pursue an education, something many of them were denied definitely during their abuse. And so your first steps are going to help rebuild lives. Walk a mile, walk 100 miles, do it for her, do it for someone you know, do it for yourself if you're a survivor. Um, this is more than a fundraiser. This is how we make sure nobody's forgotten. So, um, we're going to play a short video clip about Run for Her, and we'll come back and talk more about the memorial keeper.
Her name was Ashley. She was 20, a mama-to-be, full of life, laughter, and love. But on July 13th, 2012, everything changed. Ashley and her unborn daughter, Patience, were taken by domestic violence. Society couldn't save her, but I can run for her, and I can make sure her story isn't the end, it's the beginning of change. Run for. Her is more than a virtual race. It's a movement, a mission, a memorial. We run for the ones we've lost, the ones who survived, and the ones still trying to break free. Every step you take, every dollar you raise fuels scholarships in their names, because even in grief, there can be healing. This July, run with us, run for her.
All right, and we're back. Thank you for coming back. And we've been talking with Mandy and Lashenna about how honoring our loved ones through the keeper isn't just about remembering; it's about reclaiming their story, right? So, let's just talk a little bit more about Lashenna. What was your experience like creating the Keeper Memorial? How did that help your family process and share grief?
Um, so since I had did it not too long after the tragic event, uh, at that time, learning about grief and processing everything, um, it definitely was a great outlet. Being able to um, let others know who she was. Um, it and then putting it on a platform like that where people can just come and see and yeah, it definitely meant a lot. Um, and it made it feel like we're not invisible.
Right.
Um, so we're not invisible and she gets to live on, you know, although it hurts because everything we share is just like frozen in time
Hmm.
while we all get older and she's frozen. Um, so it is bittersweet though, um, not being able to see her grow, get older. Um, but it definitely helps knowing that, she's living on and we are also not invisible.
Yes. I have really liked the experience of that as I find things and different things, and as I'm hitting different stages of grief, I can go back in there and update that keeper memorial, and different people can go in there and share their experiences as well. Correct, Mandy? Leave little tributes and things to them. You discuss that a little further?
Yeah, of course. So, I mean, the pages can really, um, you can put as much or as little as you like on them, essentially. So, we have some families who may just share a biography or an obituary, just share their story. And then they can just send that link out to anyone. They can, you can text it to someone, WhatsApp, or however, email, however you'd like to. And family, friends, your community, they can share memories about that person. So, one of the things we have is there's a question section in the tribute. So you can send it out and someone can answer a question like, what was a time that she made you laugh, or what's your favorite memory with her? And they can answer questions like that to try to really tell the full story. They can share photos and videos as well.
Hmm.
And we kind of like to call it the quilt effect. So the idea is that, especially today with like how much media we have on our phones, we each kind of have a person of that person's story, right? My experience with my friend and the things I know about her and remember about her are different than maybe what her parents or her sister had. So the idea is that we all take a piece of that quilt and we put it together to build their full story. And so that's really what we hope is that um, the keeper of the page can really just get it started. So that's, the family member that can get it started and then share it with other friends in their community so that they can really get that they can hear about those stories and hear those memories. Because I think and that's what we've seen has been a really healing part in the grief process is when you can share the stories and you can share what you can hear those wonderful things that other how your loved one meant to other people. So I think that that's really important. But then on the storytelling side, it can go further in that you can add links for donations. So all of our Halo families, there's the Halo memorials. There are donations to BTSADV, or if there is any other nonprofits or just foundations for that person, that can also be added there. Um, Photos, videos, and we even have a section called Life and Mementos where different storylines can be added. So you can have a map of like all the places that they lived or they worked or they traveled. You can share like YouTube videos of like their favorite song. You can share milestones. So, when they were born to when they started school, maybe award they won when they were, in cheerleading or in a sport.
Right.
Um, and the idea is that there's all these kind of simple templates that allow you to just try to share the different parts of that person's story. And that can be a healing process to kind of go back through the picture books. I don't know about you, but if you ever, when I go to my parents' house and I look through my old, school books and stuff like that, it's nice to kind of see those old memories. Maybe I'm just a nostalgic person, but
Yeah.
old photographs, like looking at old photographs of my of my grandparents and stuff. And so I find that those pieces are really meaningful. So kind of having like the task for you to be like, okay, like, now like let's find her old high school photos and like put those up on the page and take that moment to remember that part of her life. And so it's like this nice process of where you're kind of like putting yourself into that space that can be really difficult and painful when you're trying to really tell the story and you're looking at those photos. There's a healing aspect to the grief, I think, as well. When you're going through those memories, there's always going to be that pain attached. Grief never goes away. It's always going to be with you forever. And I personally find it, everyone's grief is different, but I personally find that when I have a moment to just kind of sit and reflect and revisit those memories, it brings me a sense of comfort. And so that's kind of how we try to approach these pages as well.
Yes, and believe me, I think it's a beautiful thing. I've watched how the keeper has grown over time with people and the things that you can do and share, and I'm looking forward to seeing how in the future it grows as well to help keep those memorials alive. So yeah, it's really a beautiful way to honor any family member that you have lost. And if you want to do that through us, if you've lost somebody to domestic violence, just go to our website, which is breakthesilencedv.org, and look up the Halo families and the Keeper Memorial, the Halo Memorial we have over there. And if you would like to put somebody on there, it's free. And we have somebody who will help you walk through creating your Keeper Memorial as well. So, absolutely. Lashenna, what would you say to other families who are thinking about creating a page for someone they've lost?
Um, Definitely do it. In my opinion, it's user friendly because I know sometimes that, could be a barrier.
Hmm.
Um, as Mandy explained, there's different templates. I actually have to go in and update myself because I hadn't been in there in a bit. And navigating through grief, I'm not the same. was back then. So now I want to reflect that. There's pictures of my sister and her children.
Mhm.
She has four. So, but I didn't put any of me in her. At that time, I guess I didn't, I don't know where I was, but um, felt like I, I don't know if I would use the word deserve, but like I didn't deserve to be there at the time,
Mhm.
just her and her kid. But and then hearing you guys speak about all the different things you can do with the page and um, how it helps with healing, and I'm in a different space now. So I guess, you know, I'm ready to share our journey with her and encourage my family members to share theirs as well, you know.
Yeah, that can be a really great thing because um, I know with my family, just like with myself, we hit different stages as the years go by. We're 13 years into it, and some years are better and some years are worse. But I think everybody can reflect, and then I think it's good to reflect and then add to it because, like,
Mhm.
there's different levels. Like Mandy was talking about for families like ours, we do tend to more hit a level of advocacy than a lot of other people, um, just because of the nature of what happened. It throws the family more into advocacy work, I believe, and some different levels. So, have you, and I know, Lashenna, you've experienced that because you've been dedicating a lot of your time through Break the Silence volunteering. So, how has that helped you?
Oh, will never not say this. I was looking for something to help me, and just trying to find others who had gone through this and maybe they could help. And just a simple Google search and Facebook search on you guys. Mm, And then that retreat, oh my goodness,
Yeah.
that was amazing. Being able to see other sisters. Mm, I will never, never, never forget that. And you mentioned the advocacy. It's like you want to do so much to at the least, shed light on this. It's it's an epidemic,
Mhm.
and you want it to stop. I don't want anyone to ever go through a fraction of what we through. But then you're learning that it happens so often, and it's been happening so often and for so long. Um, and it just makes me want to do more.
Mhm.
You know?
Yeah, I think that's part of the key for me, myself personally. Every time I share her story, it's in the hope that somebody who's experiencing something similar can get out safely the way she couldn't. Excuse me. And I really have hoped through the years. That's part of what I feel the Keeper Memorial gives me the security of is when I'm no longer there to be the voice. Somebody will stumble across that memorial and read her story and they will take action. And that has been very comforting for me personally. That's what the Keeper Memorial gives me personally. Um, Knowing the ability of not just the tragedy, but who she was and what she was and the things she experienced are there so that somebody can relate. Somebody who has a similar daughter with a similar personality, even, and they can relate and it will help somebody in the end. That for me is the ultimate goal of what this gives me as far as peace of mind. Right? So, um, Mandy, are there some other things that you would like to share about the Keeper Memorial as we're wrapping up? About how people can participate and use that platform?
I think like you said, take a moment and go to the Break the Silence website and look at the incredible stories um, of these angels and the Halo families that put them together. Um, I think it's so important that we don't ever let their legacy and their stories, that there's two deaths, right? That there's when we physically die, and then I find that there's sort of that second loss or that second death when there's no one left to remember them. And
Mhm.
I think that like let's not ever let um, these women be forgotten. So to me, that's one thing is just go to those pages. And honestly, I don't know, and not everyone feels this way. And we have settings if you want it to stay private, but even just leave a message, like just and the family will see it. And I find that that could be really impactful just for the family. I know it has been for me, and maybe not everyone feels that way, but when I see someone's like, I just read, your loved one's story and it touched me, and I'm thinking of them, and I find that just that is like a really nice piece of it's just a nice way to support families through this. Um, and I also want to give people the awareness, as you mentioned, it is free, but if you also want sort of a space that's maybe more private and not public right now, if you're not ready for it to be public, you can actually make the page private. So
Right.
it's still free. You can sign up, you can make a page for a loved one, and you can set it so that no one else can actually see the details. And if that's where you're at, like, we're going to try to meet you where you're at in that sense. So make it private or make it password protected. You want to just share it with your siblings or close family, do that. Just the idea is that it's a space for you. Um, and that's what we hope to do. So I just encourage people not to feel like, oh, we don't want it public on the internet. Totally respect that. Not everyone wants everything on the internet. So
Mhm.
yeah, I just want to make sure people are aware that they can make it private too. And
Absolutely, and they have the administrative control. So,
exactly.
I mean, we're in the background to help you if you need help,
Mhm.
but they have the control. They are the administrator control over that. So, um, it's not something you create and we have control over it. You absolutely have the control over your memorial. So, I think that's important for the families to know as well. Um, so definitely take advantage if you're an angel family, a halo family, is like we like to call them. Um, please contact us. Uh, like I said, there'll be links in the comments and the descriptions below. We'll be glad to help you with that and answer any questions you may have about it if you're wanting to get started for sure. Um, I think just closing, Lashina, I would love for you to share something about your sister, something that, is personal but makes you smile when you think about her. It can be a story or whatever, but something about your sister that brings joy.
It's her smile. Shimona has the biggest, brightest smile. Um, and she's a fashionista.
Ah, there you
Yeah,
go.
actually, this is actually one of her shirts. So sometimes when I'm feeling I need a little extra love, or um, there's something that has to do with her, um, or an important event that has to do with the kids, I'll wear a piece of her clothing.
Hmm.
So this is one of hers, but great fashion sense. Sometimes I would uh, buy something, and if it's like let's say it's a top that it ties a certain way, and I'd FaceTime her and be like, "How do you do this?" She'd never seen it before, but she knows how to do it.
Right.
Yeah. Or I was like, "How does this look? Does this look good?" So, yeah, she was a
Yeah.
fashionista with the biggest smile.
Yeah, that's a beautiful thing. That's a beautiful memory. I wear this cross is hers. I put it on the day
Oh.
she passed, and I've only taken it off once in 13 years. They made me during my
Mm.
gallbladder surgery. They wouldn't
How
let me
dare
wear it.
they?
I know, but the doctor was nice. Well, it was the anesthesiologist. He put it
Mhm.
in my hand.
Um,
So he said, "You can hold it, you can't wear
right.
it."
Aw.
Right? And so one of my favorite memories of Ashley too is uh, it's her laugh. Because
Mm.
if you got her laughing hard enough, she would snort. So, and then you point out she snorted, she'd snort more, and she would, and then everybody would start laughing because her laugh was just very contagious in that
Yeah.
manner. So, absolutely. Um, so, ladies, I thank you so much for joining us on this broadcast. Um, just in wrapping up, I want to just real quickly um, say that today we heard some stories of loss, and yes, it's a tragedy, but more importantly, there's stories of love and legacy. Mandy and Lashenna remind us that we don't have to let violence define our loved ones' memories. Through the Keeper memorials, we can preserve even the joy and the laughter and their milestones because they were more than their tragedy, and they were ours. So, and this is why we do what we do here at Break the Silence. So, please remember to register today for that run for her. Again, check out that website. It's run, the number 4, herchallenge.com. When you register, there are some there's a store you can purchase from. If you're not a walker or a runner, but you want to help support, you can support by purchasing from the store. If you do register, there are some great, right now, free gifts. We have a partnership with Fight Camp, which think of them as the Peloton of boxing and kickboxing. So when you register, Fight Camp is providing free wraps and monitors for your punching and boxing projects, and a free 45-day subscription that provides all the different classes and stuff that you can take for free and try them out for free. So please register, and we'll send you an email on how to get your free gift with us. And also, there's some different levels of when you do fundraise for the Run for Her. You can just walk and raise awareness, but if you do decide to fundraise, once you raise $5, you get a free gift of Run for Her shoelaces. And if you do $100 or more in fundraising, you get a free t-shirt, Run for Her t-shirt. And $500 or more, you get a runner's medal. So that's some of the perks that we have right now for the July run. So please be sure you go over. And also just want to briefly, real quick, plug one more affiliate, Truth Finder. I want to take a moment to let you know Truth Finder can really empower a journey towards safety and healing. It's a simple tool that helps uncover public records, background information about people you may have encountered in your life, especially as survivors. This is a really great tool. I use it myself. Whether you're reconnecting with someone in your past or just want to ensure the people around you are trustworthy, Truth Finder provides you with the information you may need for informed decisions. And here, through the eyes of survivors, we are creating safe spaces and giving survivors tools to reclaim that power. So that's why we're excited to share Truth Finder with you. We hope that the tool helps you take control of your own security and peace of mind. So sign up for TrueFinder through our link, and it will help support the podcast and our programs. So we thank you for helping to empower our mission. And of course, always be sure to check us out on all our different platforms: Facebook, LinkedIn, X, we're on YouTube, TikTok. You can find us on any social media platform there is. Share, like, and subscribe, and please donate to the mission, because here at Break the Silence, we are not government grant based. We are supported by people like you, everyday people. So please help support the mission. We thank you, and we hope you will join us on the next episode of Through the Eyes of Survivors. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Through the Eyes of Survivors. My name is Tara Woodlee, and I am the president of Break the Silence Against Domestic Violence, an organization that gives survivors and their families, and the families that have lost loved ones to domestic violence, access to a community that understands the journey that they're facing. We hope this episode impacts you, and hopefully you want to learn more about the topic. If it is helping you in some way, let us know in the comments below. We love your feedback. Also, make sure to click the subscribe button below and the bell right next to it so that you can get notified the next time an episode premieres. We hope you will see us in the next episode, and thank you. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Through the